to the entertaining Talkin' Sports.
What is going on, football fans? Back at it with another New York Giants video. Sorry for the late upload, guys. I was a little tired tonight, but I wanted to make sure I got this video out for you guys as soon as I could. And in this video, we're going to talk about Jason Garrett, who is officially the new offensive coordinator for the New York Giants. The reason this took as long as it did was because Jason Garrett was still under contract with the Dallas Cowboys, and they waited until the contract had expired with the Cowboys to talk to the New York Giants. Now, why the Giants talked to Linehan, I'm not sure. It's possible that they plan to bring him in maybe as a quarterback's coach, not a quarterback's coach. That's already been maybe as somewhere in the offense, but it will not be as the offensive coordinator. That will be Jason Garrett. And on Twitter, there's people up in arms. People hate Jason Garrett because he's a Dallas Cowboy, not a good head coach. And some people are worried that the Giants are doing this because maybe they think that, this guy will step in if Joe Judge fails. And I'm not going to rule that out as a possibility. The guy has a history as being a head coach, and he's had some success in the win column. I am not a fan of him as a head coach. I've made several videos talking about that. I don't think he's a good head coach. However, I do think he's a good offensive coordinator, and some people don't want to give him credit for that. And I get it, because he's such a failed head coach, and he's annoying with the clapping, and he's a Dallas Cowboy. And a lot of people came on my channel, and they said, well, the credit to Tony Romo is due to the fact that Sean Payton and Bill Parcells molded this guy. Sean Payton was off the team in 2005. Became the head coach, I believe, with the Saints in 2006. Romo didn't throw a football in the NFL until 2006. Now, do you want to say that maybe he molded him from the start? That's all fine and dandy. But the bottom line is Tony Romo had great success under Jason Garrett as his offensive coordinator. I don't care what happened before the fact. When Jason Garrett took over as his OC, he had phenomenal success, and he did it with the Air Coryell offense. And in this video, I'm going to explain exactly what that offense is. I had to do a little research on it myself. I, of course, knew that it was famous with the San Diego Chargers back in the day with Dan Fouts when they ran that offense. And what the offense calls for is a lot of vertical passing. There's a lot of tight end usage up the middle, and a power run game, much like you've seen with the Dallas Cowboys since Jason Garrett has been there. Remember all those games where Jason Witten would kill us over the middle? We'll expect that to be Evan Ingram if he is back with the New York Giants next year. Expect them to use Ingram in the same capacity. Also expect them to use a lot of I formation in the running game. There's a lot of shotgun formation when you're throwing the football, but a lot of under the center when you're running the football, and it's between the tackles. Although, I'm sure they're going to design plays to get Saquon Barkley out in space, things like that. But, expect them to try to commit to the power run game. Remember when DeMarco Murray did what he did? Had almost 2,000 yards on the ground, Ezekiel Elliott. The Cowboys were always able to run the ball, but one thing that is vital to this system is the offensive line. And we're going to get into all that, the things that make this offense go. But I think Jason Garrett's the right hire. I think they needed experience at this position, especially when you got a quarterback like a Daniel Jones. A young quarterback who needs a guy with some experience to be his offensive coordinator. Now, there are some names you could have said. You could have said a Jay Gruden, but Jay Gruden's a failed head coach too. We all know that he liked Daniel Jones, but Jason Garrett, I've said it in several other videos. Tony Romo, great success when he was an OC, undrafted quarterback. Dak Prescott, fourth-round quarterback. Yeah, Garrett wasn't calling the plays, but they were still instilling his offense for the most part. So, Jason Garrett knows what he's doing in terms of being an offensive coordinator. I am convinced Dallas Cowboys have had a great offense since he's been there, and I'm going to show you all the numbers. But I think it's a really good hire, and especially for Daniel Jones. You need a guy, like I said, with experience, who has a history of molding quarterbacks. Jason Garrett, a former quarterback in his own right, and I think this is going to help him. The only thing you worry about, I suppose, is he could either A, move on and get another job next year as a head coach if he does a phenomenal job, but if he does, that's great. We got Daniel Jones off on the right foot, or if Joe Judge struggles, he could take over as the head coach. But that's something we worry about down the line. We're talking about this year's team, and for this year's team, I think this is the right hire. I think the Giants hit a home run on this hire. I really do, and I know some people are going to disagree with me. I saw on Twitter people up in arms about it. But that's my honest take on Jason Garrett. I think it was a really good hire. But let's get into, there he is clapping. We're going to have to get used to that. But let's get into what he brings to the table. This was a great stat that Jordan Rannon from ESPN pulled up. And this has been the Cowboys offense since he's gotten there. From the time Jason Garrett became the Cowboys offensive coordinator for the 2007 season through his tenure as head coach, the Cowboys ranked in the top 10 in a bevy of important offensive categories. Yards per play, they were second in the NFL from 2007 to 2019. Yards per game, they were fourth. Total QBR, they were fifth. Points per game, they were 6th. So they were 6th or better in 4 huge offensive categories. And he needs to get some credit for that. They instilled his offense while he was there, which is, like I said, the Air Coryell. He has his own method, but that's where it bases from. And I'm going to get into exactly what it is and what it requires. Now, one thing I will say, 2 tall receivers he had there when it was at his best with Miles Austin, Des Bryant, because like I said, there are a lot of fly patterns. They do have Darius Slayton, who I think fits this offense perfectly. They could use another wide receiver on the outside. They could try to stretch the field. Maybe they'll find that guy in the draft. But here's the concepts. The vertical spread. The thing that defines the Air Coryell the most is that it relies on vertical routes to spread the field. Last week, we talked about how the West Coast offense used horizontal routes to keep the defense thin. And this is the same principle, only sideways. A team running the West Coast offense is happy with an 80% completion rate on a bunch of 4-yard passes. The short distance makes it easier to throw for the quarterback to complete, and it's a useful solution for a team without a superstar at that position. But what if you have a top-tier talent under center? What if you think he has the mental and physical ability to generate downfield yardage? That's what a certain coach thought of his quarterback at that time in a Dan Fouts, and that's how the Coryell offense was born. So that's what Jason Garrett runs, and expect him to utilize Daniel Jones throwing deep balls down the field, and we did see him and Darius Slayton have a lot of success in doing that. By doing so, it's going to open up the middle of the field for your tight end, like we've seen with Jason Witten time and time again, but we're going to get into that. Here's the next part about the offense. It requires power running, and we've seen that with the Cowboys time and time again over the course of the years, whether it was Darren McFadden, whether it was Ezekiel Elliott. So many guys have gone to the Dallas Cowboys since he's been there. Felix Jones, Marion Barber, and they've had success in that running game. To complement the downfield passing game, the Coryell offense typically employs a power running scheme. If the defense is forced to cover deep passes on a consistent basis, they cannot stuff the box with an extra player to stop the run, because doing so could result in a big play. If the offense can get a numbers advantage up front, then huge holes can be opened up for a power run on demand. The majority of the Coryell plays are run from the shotgun formation, with at least one running back flanking the quarterback. From here, the quarterback can see where the offense may have an advantage. If a safety creeps down towards the line of scrimmage on a run play, he can audible to a pass and shoot with a deep pass. It is a pass play, and if it is a pass play and the defense plays soft coverage, he can audible into a power run and get cheap yardage on the ground. And with that is going to, Daniel Jones is going to need to gain more experience at reading defenses, which we expect him to do in year 2. And a guy like Jason Garrett should certainly help him do that. And with a running back like Saquon Barkley, if you can improve the offensive line, which is vital, not just for this system, but all systems, but this system in particular, this could be a very good offense. And that is going to bring us to the offensive line. Like any offensive system, it requires a strong line. Given that the quarterback is targeting downfield receivers and the running game uses a power scheme against the numbers advantage, it's important that the O-line is among the best in the league, which is exactly what the Dallas Cowboys have been. They invested early round draft picks because of that, and I'm sure because of this system was a main reason why they did that. The West Coast offense can operate with smaller players and mask their deficiencies with movement and speed. The Coryell offense cannot and requires significant investment in the O-line in order to produce consistent results. So expect the Giants to spend in free agency and possibly even take an Andrew Thomas or an offensive lineman there in the first round. That's what I'm leaning towards when you factor in especially the offense they're going to be running, second-year quarterback at Daniel Jones. It only makes sense. Okay, not to mention Dave Gettleman's job relies on the evolution of a Daniel Jones. Same with Joe Judge. And here is the next thing I want to bring up about this offense, and that is the tight end position. The tight end position should thrive. Guys like Jimmy Graham and Rob Gronkowski are touted as groundbreakers within the game. Their receiving prowess and versatility changes the dynamic of the respective offenses once they take the field. Long before these guys were even in high school, there was Kellen Winslow. Prior to the Coryell system, tight ends were primarily blockers who ran short routes. In 1980, Coryell expanded on his system to include a variety of intermediate and deep passes to the tight end. By splitting him out wide, using him in the slot, and monitoring, the Winslow became a major weapon. In 2 years, he averaged more than 1,100 yards, 88 receptions, and 9 touchdowns. Not bad for a position many considered to be just a blocker. And that, of course, was, this was before its time. Tight ends didn't used to do that. Now it's more common. And Jason Witten, the same thing. Jason Witten's prime of his career was in this offense, and he took off because of it. Blake Jarwin, even last year, had 3 touchdowns against us. Expect Evan Ingram, if he's here, to be really involved in the passing game. And then I wanted to pull up I only pulled up 3 years. 2007 to 2009, 3 years while he was the offensive coordinator. I just wanted to give you guys a quick look at the total offense, where they ranked with him as an OC. In 2007, they ranked third in the NFL with 5,851 total yards. Pretty impressive. His first year as an OC, Tony Romo's first full year as a starter. The next year, Tony Romo goes down, and they drop to 13, but they're still in the top half of the league. But Romo goes down. I think he missed 3 or 4 games. The following year, Romo bounces back in 2009, and they rank second in total offense, just behind the New Orleans Saints, ahead of the New England Patriots. So nobody could deny that Jason Garrett as an OC got results. I mean, you saw the total yardage since he's been there. They're in the top 6 in a number of categories, and they were number 2 in offense in 2009, number 3 in 2007. And those were upgrades to 2005 and 2006. So he certainly deserves some credit for that. And I think he could bring some results to the New York Giants. The offensive line is paramount, though. Now I just wanted to show you guys a couple of pictures of exactly some routes that may be ran. Obviously, like I said, a lot of vertical concepts on the outside. There's a route where the tight end will run up the seam to open up the running game, too. You know, like it said, when there's deep passing routes, it opens up the running game. And then this is just another diagram of another route, that's often ran in this system. But I just wanted to show you guys that, some pictures that I pulled up out of this offense. But yeah, overall, man, I think this was a very good hire by the New York Giants. The experience he's going to bring, I think it brings stability, being that he's had success with quarterbacks in the past. I think it'll bring confidence to Daniel Jones, and we're welcoming a Giant back home. He's not the head coach. He's an OC. Don't freak out. I think it's the right hire. I think the Giants have done a great job here with this coaching staff. We'll have to see. We have some unprovens there with a Patrick Graham, but he matches the philosophy of a Joe Judge. Like I said, I'll have a video up on the running back coach tomorrow. I'm looking forward to that. And thank you guys for sticking around and watching this video. I'm sorry I got it up as late as I did. I tried to get it up in a more timely manner. Just today I had some things I had to do. I was on Fisk channel. I had a great time over there. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. And as always, guys, if you liked what you watched, please subscribe. Drop a comment. Maybe give me a little thumbs up. Cheers.